everyone. This is Rangadad. This is not financial advice. It's just the way I'm looking at the market. We hit some pretty good levels yesterday. Fortunately, some of them happened while I was asleep, which pissed me off, but that's just the way it happens sometimes. Pretty crucial day. Well, it's going to be pretty crucial end of the week, I think. Bitcoin could be a bit choppy, but we'll go through some key levels because we hit two of them. Today, still the same day. We hit two of them already, and it looks like we're teetering with the value area low. So as you can see here, this is the value area low. I'm using a 40% value here for the value area low. For the volume, if you change that to the typical 70, you actually end up down around the 56, low 56 mark. Just, I guess, keep that in mind. There is a pretty decent wick here that it might want to take. And obviously we do have this wick here in that space as well. I tend to use the 40 though, because it just seems to work. This level here has had a lot of trading around it on the way through. Even the top level around here. Now, obviously, this the value area would have been different over in these areas, so keep that in mind. And I'm only covering sort of this from here to now. The reason being is I'm really mainly interested just in this area up here. I probably should extend that out, to be honest. Just let me do that. Just to pick up this extra area here. Oh, that's right. That's the reason I brought it in. So if you start to include this here as well, obviously the volumes are actually quite big through that region. Like, that's massive volume through that region. Considering all the trading we've had up in here, and the volume through there was still bigger than what we've had so far up here. It was a spike. It wasn't solid volume like this. So keep that in mind. But this also gives us an interesting level of about 57.5 for the value area high across that range, which is, again, actually a pretty interesting level. There's a lot of trading around there. There's bounces off that level. There's wicks down into it. So the 57,500 mark is still an area of interest for me. May not come down that whole way. May come down into this area here. The value area things for me, it gives you an idea of how quickly a price may move in between 2 points. And it does give you an idea of where investors are likely to flip as well. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to bring this back into here. Actually, I'll see if I just... Yeah, it's the same sort of area if I ignore that whole thing. So I'll just keep that in there just because that gives me the level down here as a target. If it breaks this channel, that is a pretty good target just there over the longer term. So yeah, we hit the 20 EMA on the daily, tagged that, rejected off it. The disappointing thing there is it did happen while I was asleep, and that would have allowed me to close out most of my long in profit. As it is, I'm still sort of holding the bag on that one, but we have made some good shorts throughout the day and cleaned up a bit on them, so not a huge loss. Just means I can't enter my longs. Like my average buy-in price for my longs is still up around the 62k mark. So yeah, this is a pretty critical level. Now what I did do as well, I kind of changed my bands a little bit. Just the band that I had before was basically the middle of these two. The reason I changed that is because if I just moved it up a little bit, we picked up a lot of these key levels through here. Like it seems to be a pretty key level all the way through this range. So that I'm pretty cautious about moving things to make a story work rather than creating the story around the data that's there. But this level makes more sense to me. And the fact that we've hit the 200, well, we haven't hit the 200 EMA technically, but we're pretty freaking close to it. And I have a feeling if we go, if we go to, this is the index. Yeah, we still haven't hit it on the index. So, you know, may sweep the lows again. Just have to wait and see. Interesting closure on CME coming up in 20 minutes or so. Yeah. I think given we haven't hit the 200 EMA yet on the index, given it looks like we're potentially closed below these moving averages on CME, there's a fairly good level through here. We may get a bit of sideways chop. The market's skittish at the moment as well. The one thing to keep in mind is stochastic momentum is still to the downside. CME didn't get a huge volume through today either. So yeah, look, it's kind of, I mean, if it closes somewhere like this, it's an indecision candle. We'll get down to the lower time frames in a second and see if we can get some more data on that. But until we get down into here, BBWP looks like it's going to cross the signal line. That, along with downside momentum, is a little like it's suggesting there's more to come, which if we do that, 57.5 is coming into play. Except that's yeah, don't worry about that. That's an old fib. I'm gonna put a new fib on here and see where that's at. So yeah, 57,919 for the 618 level. It seems like it is a reasonable target. That is going to be a critical level. You're going to want to see closures sort of above this level and a move away from that for it to basically form a higher low. But the thing that would concern me is if we close two candles below this level, or let's say below the 200 EMA, two closures below that, and the bottom of this channel has to be the target, which is around the 53k mark. It would be hard to not look at that as the next target. potentially even into this volume here around the 51, which would pick up more of this wick, which we always talk about. We don't like leaving wicks like this on Bitcoin. There was a good turnaround at the bottom of this wick. Remember that. So it doesn't necessarily need to come back in there now. But I'm just talking about levels that we could get to if certain scenarios play out. I'm not saying it's getting down there. This is just things to keep in mind. But at this stage, it's really, there's a lot of volume being traded around this area. A bit of a fight going on. If we close above this today, I would actually expect some upside tomorrow. Just because it'll be forming a pretty decent base. Now, just coming down to the 1 hour, we're kind of in no man's land at the moment in terms of this fib level that we pulled up before. That isn't from the bottom. That is just from that last push up. But it's the same sort of deal here. So we're still in no man's land. You don't have to hit the 0.5, but being this close to it, it kind of would make sense if we did. There is not a vector candle on the hourly. Let's just come back into the 15-minute. Should use the control button, shouldn't I? There's not really a vector candle at all down here, even on the 15-minute, which should suggest if it does want to go down here, 59 is probably the actual level. It may sweep this and then move away. Very low volume in this area here, this trudge up, so I would expect that 59k is a bounce point if we get down to that level. But at the moment, this is a pretty good turnaround. Okay, closing within this Bollinger Band. What I'm also mindful of, though, what I'm mindful of is we have broken this little, I'd call it a bear flag. Closure above this would be handy, and confirmation above this would be quite handy. I did close my shorts down here just because I saw a bit of a turnaround on, well, we were getting into the overextended, well, the bearish control zone on the stochastic momentum on the short 15-minute time frame. And I think I saw a turnaround in the 5-minute time frame. So again, 5 and 15 minutes have been pretty good time frames for this whole run down. The 5-minute seems to give you pretty good warning of what's happening, particularly even just looking at stochastic momentums. So when you got this one crossing outside the bullish control zone, and you've got your medium time frame, which would be the 15-minute, also just rolling over, that's a pretty good time to be looking for shorts. You're doing it early if you're doing it up here, but you know there's other things you can use to get in reasonably early. At some stage I might go more into this, but yeah, just note that on the 5-minute this is suggesting upside, and decent upside. It is finding resistance at the moment around that 50 EMA on the 5-minute. I prefer it if it closes within that channel, but I probably could draw that a bit better as well. On the 5 minute, the channel's more like this. But you would be looking for it to clear this 50 as well. So closures back down below this, particularly below the mid band of this Bollinger Band, which is I've actually changed that to 25 period or length Bollinger Band. This doesn't matter too much for what I'm doing, but seems to give me reasonable indications of what's going on. So, yeah, looks like a good turnaround there. It was a good sweep of those lows. Remember, I think it was yesterday I mentioned that we could actually sweep these lows. The reason being there was a bit of liquidity coming into the chart around these levels here. So it doesn't look like much there, but 21 million was nothing to really sneeze at. And we didn't get a massive sort of oversold signal on the charts here. And the fact, yeah, so when we were coming out of this this turnaround, the open interest was steadily coming down all through this period here, suggested we weren't really done yet. But also I wasn't super convinced because it was a reasonable signal here with the funding on perps that was a decent low, but typically we were wanting to get something like, where's the last one? We wanted to get something like this, where just you got a lot of red across the board. No, sorry. That was what I was sort of looking for. More like these areas. Comparatively, and then obviously you want to see this rising as we come out of it. But look, at this stage, the market does look quite skittish. So just beware of that. And we did have a lot of orders in the books below that level. So again, it's just it makes me concerned when I see that we haven't necessarily finished yet. You kind of want to trudge sideways at a decent turnaround anyway to suck in more. Like the market wants to suck in more short liquidity before ripping it to the upside. So we got a half decent signal that could be the low there. Just be careful. There is a bit of liquidity down here still, which would bring us into that 59.5, potentially down to 59, low 59s. I'd like to see it take that and reverse in the same day when it takes it. At this stage, no real signal as to what's going on, apart from the fact that this is a decent local bottom. It's just a matter of how high it wants to go, whether we come back up to the 200 again. That was a fantastic level that I would have loved to have taken profit on the longs, but anyway, that'll happen. I did add to it a little bit down here as well. So in terms of the heat map, obviously you got a little bit of confluence here, nearly 100 million at 59,500. So that seemed like a potential area for it to sweep again. This move down didn't happen super quick. Like there was no big flushes like there was in the start of this down move. we have picked up a bit of liquidity there. It may go a little bit higher. But yeah, 59,600 even probably looks like a pretty decent level for it to come into. We'll come back out to the monthly and have a quick look. Again, we did take, at that point there, we did take a pretty good level, but it was this chunk here, hundreds of millions in that area, that we were looking at saying, well, okay, it may sweep that before moving higher. And to be honest with you, I would like to see it sweep again. So it's sort of, that's why I'm thinking it's going to be a little bit more choppy than anything. But we've got to be careful about this 57 level, I think. A little bit too much confluence down there, but would be a pretty good buying opportunity, I would think. If we do end up doing an October. I think I've covered all that. The fact that we've taken a lot of liquidity to the upside in the last day suggests we're not necessarily going to go much higher. Oh, it did. It just literally took that extra liquidity there while I was talking. It may run for this. So 61,422 to 61.5. 61.5 has been a pretty good key level for it to have some bouncing around. But so has 62.5, and there's a bit up here as well. So I think a lot of up down all around for the next few days. That's a good clearance back inside this this level as well. So that could be the sweep. It could be done, at least for the short term. But as I said, could be quite choppy here. My indicator in here, these blue channels and this green bit here, has turned to the upside as well on the 5 minute. That looks like it should continue for a while. It is coming off a reasonably low level as well. My MACD has turned to the upside. CCI has crossed to the upside. You know, this is a pretty solid turnaround. Stochastic momentum's crossed out of the bearish control zone. The medium time frame, so that's the 15 minute, looks like it will potentially do the same soon. So good run. First target 61,293 for the 200 EMA on the 15 minute. What have I got? Sorry, the 5 minute. And potentially back up to the 200 EMA on the 15 minute as well, which is around the 62.2, which again, I'll probably, if we hit that, I'll probably be taking a little bit of profits off my long. Just looking for a retrace back down, looking to load up again once we get down to that bottom side, and I'll be placing some shorts as well. So yeah, that's particularly if we've got the medium time frame, which is the hourly in this chart on the 15 minute. If that stochastic momentum is sort of up in that that bullish control zone and it looks like it's rolling over as well, then I'll be sort of adding some more shorts in there. But got to be reasonably quick in and out on these because it is fairly choppy. It's just we are getting enough movement over the last couple of days. Like if you're doing that sort of thing through here where your moves aren't that big, it makes it hard to actually be profitable with fees and stuff like that. So through the week, we are getting a bit more movement. One thing I wanted to just touch on, we'll go through the other charts. Let's do it on the daily. This, indecision candle, but primed for a bit of sideways chop and potentially a base around here. Sorry, where are we? So I'll go to the Qs, futures. Little bounce off the 20 EMA there. Still downward trending though, so just be aware of that. S&P 500, we'll go to SPY. We'll see if this plays out. Again, still trending down. Pretty flat day, really. Low volume too. Equal weight's doing the same thing. IWM's doing the same thing. It's a bit boring, really. XLI just rolling over a little bit. Stochastic momentum is coming down as a sell signal on the bullish smart money indicator. Yeah, high XLP's actually had a decent day, but closed the same sort of level as the previous open. Again, stochastic momentum is down, so you're expecting this to still keep trudging down. Again, these moves aren't particularly quick, so I'm not super concerned about them. It's just at this stage, it's just a retrace. Fucking DJI Gold is really challenging the bottom of this area, isn't it? DJI itself is showing signs of the rollover as well. Stochastic momentum is about to cross out of the bullish control zone, so expect a bit more down on that. VIX still trending up. You kind of want VIX to really come up and spike somewhere in that 20 to 25 level at least, if it's going to be a proper turnaround at the bottom. You want to see turnarounds above that. Skew, what do we got in the skew? A little bit of a bounce again. That hasn't updated yet, so I'll have to wait and see on that one. But yeah, skew's still down. There's no real upward trend yet. It'd be interesting to see what today's number was once it updates. DAX is coming down. HSI, what a target. This would have liquidated so many people. I do watch a little bit of Gareth Soloway sometimes as well. Bit of a douchebag, but I just like getting different views on things, and he's pretty good at trend lines and stuff, but he's been shorting this market for the last few days, so I think he's added to his short. But yeah, there was no way this is a short for me until here. This is actually a pretty good level to start shorting HSI. Fantastic target on that. It's not necessarily a vector resistance, it's just that level there. Now, what you would be careful of, though, is another short squeeze on it. So, again, this market, they were struggling to fill orders. They had so many orders coming through, they couldn't process them all. And there is holidays all through this week and stuff. So I'd say until the stochastic momentum sort of crosses back to the downside, at least crosses the signal line here, and probably until you've at least got a downturn in the BBWP, I wouldn't actually be shorting this yet. This is a really good level, but the short squeezes that have been coming through here could continue. because retail is FOMOing into this thing. That could just keep squeezing the shorts that are coming in. So be very careful if you're going to trade that. Bitcoin does the same thing when it's on a big run. So even though you've got key levels, they can be broken through with a fake out. UK 100's flat. Bloody hell. UK 100, you are boring. Interesting trend on this one. Probably want to look for breaks of that. Although, yeah, that's almost a trend line through there. Let's go off the closes though. But at this stage, it looks like the Japanese market wants to push a bit higher as well. Stochastic momentum still postured to the downside, but it is turning a little. So it could be a bit choppy on Japanese market, but looks like it might be showing signs of a turn. TLT, whoa, that's a big drop. What happened to the 2-year? Oh, the 2-year came down. So it opened quite high and came back down. So TLT's opened lower and come back up. Surprise, surprise. High yield is still trending down. So high yield doesn't necessarily like, it's not suggesting this market's going up anytime soon. It's kind of coming down with the market, suggesting it's a proper retrace. So 2-year, 10-year came back down a little bit. Don't know why that is. There might have been some news that Powell was going to cut sooner or something. Oh, it could have been on the jobs data that came out, which that data's rubbish anyway. They revise it. It's never correct when they actually bring it out. Copper's interesting. So, I mean, we're taking out this vector at the high here, and we're not adding vectors to it. So this could still turn around at this point. This would still be the target. Actually, where's my fib level? Yeah, it's probably still around that level, to be honest. Maybe even a little deeper. And yeah, anywhere around this sort of level would be great for a turnaround on copper, but looks like it could take a while to get there. If we break out and just continue this trend, that would be pretty nuts. But yeah, I don't think that's going to happen at this stage. Gold, hard to pick gold at the moment. It's not breaking any new highs or anything, so probably still going to roll over. We are still in the bullish control zone though, so could go a little bit higher. We could tap that's 27k mark, which let's put it up there. See if we hit that as a target. Oops, coordinates. But yeah, doesn't have to. It's just an interesting level. The market tends to like round numbers. Silver pushing a little higher. So again, the silver versus gold has pushed a little higher as well. Really want to see a decent move on the silver versus gold. Silver's struggling through a fair bit of resistance around these levels, I think. So iron ore is pushing higher as well. Again, actually that's the same as the other day. Yeah, that hasn't updated yet. What's that update? That's weird. Must be due to the Chinese markets. Might not be open or something funny going on there. I don't know. Normally it's open all week, but we haven't got a read on today. Okay, ignore that. US dollar versus oil. So oil's pushing up, still tapped into the 50 EMA there. Big rejection off that, but trend is still up here. Still, I would expect oil to pull back up at least into the 100 EMA before we get it to turn around. I'll just leave this here. I reckon that could be the pattern that plays out there. Dixie pushing up. It could do something similar to oil, to be honest. I mean, the trend's still kind of down, but it looks like it's trying to reverse that trend. Hard one. Ugh. Aussie dollar, US dollars pulling back a bit. I mean, this does look like it's about to roll over, which suggests the US dollar is going to actually pump a little. Just keep that in mind. Whoa, Japanese dollars come back. That's a big part of why the US, why the Dixie's moved up. The Japanese has come down quite considerably. Aussie dollar euro is still pushing up, so it looks like we've just ticked over there. So euro pulled back, yen pulled back. That's why the Dixie's pumped. Yeah, looks like we could come down a little bit more here, which would potentially be a double top on euro. So that would give us a target somewhere around right back into this vector candle here, around the 108, which would probably see the Dixie move up into this area around the 102, which would potentially see more downside on the stock market and on crypto. Oh, sorry. What I was going to mention with Chinese stock market is the amount of money that's coming into this at the moment. Like everyone's talking about how the Chinese stimulus will actually pump crypto. Eventually, maybe, but at the moment, it looks like everyone's pumping that stimulus into the Chinese stock market. So they're getting some nuts returns on this. And while the money's going in there, I wouldn't expect it to be going into crypto. Not yet, anyway. Crypto could be it could be a case of Chinese stock market is Bitcoin and crypto is Ethereum at the moment. So once Bitcoin's finished with its run, then maybe we get a pump on Bitcoin, on crypto. Okay, so just there's no sign yet that the stimulus is affecting crypto. Put it that way. The stimulus is out. This market is pumping. Crypto is not. Global liquidity has dropped back a little bit as well, so keep that in mind. Have we got a read yet? New read on these ones? What's that? Short answer is nope. Percentage of stocks above 50-day moving average is coming down a little bit. Mag 7's coming back a little bit. Tesla's pulling back. Interesting it's pulling back so early. This could just be a little temporary bounce. I would kind of be expecting it to be moving up into the news. if we do pull back a decent amount into the news, then it could actually pump Tesla, and we could head to that all-time high up around around $300. So that's something to keep in mind too. Hard to predict this far out, but yeah, stochastic momentum is heading down. If that's still heading down into the news, that'll be interesting just to see what level it's at. I'm not going to cover those. I'll have a quick look at Apple. Apple false breakout. Nvidia going nowhere. Amazon, Meta had a breakout, didn't it? So Meta would come back and retest this breakout. I think would be very critical level to see what happens around there. If we confirm that move away, then Meta will probably run into earnings. So expect the next big pullback to be around earnings. Airbnb could get a decent little bounce on Airbnb here, but it's not looking great as per the rest of the market. SMCI is basing ish. All right, so I'll do a quick look at total crypto market cap. Yeah, it's confirmed below that 200 EMA. Probably going to get back below the 2 trillion mark, which means Bitcoin, I mean, that's suggesting Bitcoin's going to keep coming down. That's the way I'm looking at it anyway. But indecision candle today could get an up day. Need to be pretty careful on some of these levels though. The daily moving averages are going to be pretty key levels for turnarounds. And yeah, it's just whether we get a close a bit closer to. I'd like to see a close and a turnaround from that close right near the 200 EMA. Whether we get that tomorrow or not, hard to say. But yeah, I'm kind of expecting maybe a little bit of up, probably some fairly quiet days, close around there and then move away. If you're bullish, if you think this is going to be the turnaround point, that would make a lot of sense. That would bring us into the probably even into the mid 59s on the wicks. I mean, that's best case bull scenario, I think, at the moment. Gut feeling is it's potentially going a little lower. Just have to see what the price action tells us. Okay, I think that's about it for now. When you're dealing with Bollinger Bands, and use ones that sort of suit your eye and what you're looking for, but typically if you're sort of turning around inside them and just inside them, your target is at least the mid band. If you then close below that, your target is the opposite side. Okay, same here. Once it closes inside after being outside, if you've got a double close in there, like a confirmation close, so these ones here that close once and then close back outside, it's not confirmed. Then you're looking for, obviously, to hit at least the middle, if not the other side. Same sort of thing here. Now, you can get turnarounds at the mid band. Typically, if you're hitting these levels and the Bollinger Bands are still expanding, that's when it's not necessarily going to continue. So Bollinger Bands are kind of tricky if you're going to trade off them, but I use them for kind of confluence, and if we're trading outside them, then I normally wait for it to close inside before I close out a position, particularly when you're using sort of a one period. You'll see what that looks like in a second. So one standard deviation, as you can see here, it's not until you're actually closing within them that you start to see this trend actually turn around. But yeah, got to be careful when you're in a downtrend and turning, and you come straight through a Bollinger Band like that. Expect a fair bit of sideways chop while this thing. It's like turning a ship. It never happens slowly, so you tend to get a bit of chop. But if you're breaking out and this thing is trending up quite significantly, then that tends to be a pretty good signal that you're going to get continuation in that direction. Okie dokie.